Hello, everyone, and welcome back. In today's episode, we have guest Robbi Kearns, psychic and Oracle deck card creator. He is the owner of Guidance from Gratitude, and he's going to talk all about angels and archangels and the role they play in our lives and how we can tap into them for everyday guidance. Let's dive right in. I'm your host, Ray Madrano, and welcome to Woo Woo. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show. Today's guest is Robbi Kearns. What an incredible man I got to know, and I'm still getting to know. Hi, Robbi. Thank you for
Hi,
being
Ray.
here.
Thank you for having me on. And I feel the same way
Absolutely.
about you. I'm so excited about having met you and everything.
Likewise, our connection was so natural and really kind of cool because we met on a workshop. We were doing like an angelic medium workshop hosted by Charles Virtue,
hmm
and that was a lot of fun. But you had to dip out, and it's really funny when you do like this. I don't know if you feel this way, especially as a psychic medium. When you jump into Zoom calls, sometimes people's energy or auras will start speaking to you in the whole gallery,
Yeah.
and so you were just glowing, and I was
Oh,
like, "Oh, I can't wait to chat with this guy." And then,
and
and
then
then
I
you
was
had to dip
gone.
out early.
Yeah. Story of my life. No, yeah, I
Yeah,
felt the
but
same way. I was like, okay, I think I mentioned this to you when we chatted afterwards. There's somebody that I met in a group, and that group had thousands of people in it, and I kept seeing her, and then I found out she was a mentor for this group that we were in, and I felt the same way, and I reached out, and I was like, "Hi, we're going to be friends," yeah, and I feel
yeah,
the same way about you. It's like
yeah.
we
I
have
don't
things
know
to
you
do
yet, but we're
together.
going to.
We have things to do together.
Well, and that's something that's been happening with me in my journey. I thought it was unique until I started talking to more people like you and I that have the same experience, and it's kind of nice because as I talked a few episodes back about how lonely this felt in the beginning,
hmm
because you do kind of feel like closeted and you can't really talk about some of this stuff openly without fear of judgment or anything. But it's really kind of cool how this community, it's like the more you talk about it, the more you find people that have experienced the same kind of thing you have. And I think that's really special, and I think it's part of the whole collective awakening type of thing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I feel like people come into your life when they're supposed to, and we're here to support each other. I mean, it's not like you're becoming an accountant and there is a book that tells you how to necessarily, you go to school
Yeah.
and study to be an accountant and then you go into a job and so we have to find those people that are like-minded that can, help us on our journey and support us and kind of be mentors and peers as we go through this. I think it's so important to do that.
I feel the same way. And you are in New Jersey, correct? Or are you in New
New
York?
York, yeah, but, New York.
Woodstock.
Yeah, I'm near Woodstock, New York, up in the Hudson Valley.
When we were chatting, we both work in the industry in some capacity, and I thought your story was very fascinating. Could you tell us more about your background in the industry?
Yeah, well, my husband's actually in the industry. I used to be. I worked for a composer named Howard Shore. He wrote the music for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and so I worked with
So
him
cool.
during that time period. And then we created the Lord of the Rings Symphony, which toured around the world. I produced it all over the world, and it was such a fantastic opportunity. Um,
That
and I
is so cool.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Big. I mean, I went to the Academy Awards the night that we won 13 awards, and it was just magical
Wow.
to be there and to have the opportunity to work with Annie Lennox and just those things are once in a lifetime.
They
Absolutely. So
are.
it's special.
And yeah, as a fan of the Lord of the Rings, also I had friends who worked on that trilogy and the Hobbit
Mm.
series
Mm-hmm.
in the prosthetics makeup department, and
Oh,
so
wow.
I know we're like friends, but I still sometimes I look up at them and I'm like starry eyes, and I'm like so geeked out and starstruck by, because I'm like, wow, you got to do, and it's ironic that people do the same thing with me because I work on the Yellowstone
Mm-hmm.
franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and not in like a huge capacity, but I've had different roles on some of the different shows, and people get so starstruck or enamored by that show,
Yeah.
and of course they're like, well, what's your favorite episode? And I'm like, I haven't really watched it. Like
Exactly.
I saw half of the first season, but their prequels, 1883 and 1923, are
Mm-hmm.
just so cinematically stunning and
Yeah.
beautiful. And I have watched those, and those are really cool because like I look at it through the lens of the camera, and I
Mm-hmm.
forget I was standing back there. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
I saw that with these eyes. It just, when you kind of have that encapsulated in a point in time, it's really cool to look back and say, hey, I was a part of that.
Yeah, those experiences really stand out, and kind of similar to what we were talking about before. Is when I was being that road warrior out on the one year I think I was gone. I think it was 285 days. It was
Whew.
ridiculous. And as you
Yeah.
know, having to be on set and stuff, if you're just shooting back to back episodes of things, you're gone. But
Yeah.
it my brother, who was a musician and toured for years and years, he always said make sure it's the people that make the difference. So make sure you're connected with
Absolutely.
the people. And so I
Yes.
really kept that in mind as I traveled and toured, and meeting people locally, but also the team that you're with is just so
Yeah.
important. So
I joke with people and I say we're like carnies with dental plans.
that is
And if your husband, or is it, sorry, partner,
that
husband,
husband. Yep, yep.
your partner's on Broadway, so he would
Yeah.
probably definitely resonate with that a little bit.
Yeah, he's in Sweeney Todd right now. This is his, I think, sixth Broadway show, and
That's wonderful. I
doing
love that
Sweeney
musical.
Todd. Yeah,
So good.
it's a lot. It's a great production. Great production.
Josh Groban's leading that right now, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is. He
That's
is.
cool. I saw a clip of him on TikTok and I thought of you and your partner, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, they're having a great time. So,
So, when did you first discover that you were a psychic medium?
uh, well, I mean, I've had experiences all my life, I guess. And I never would have really classified myself as a psychic medium out of that.
It's an interesting title to take for sure.
Yeah, and especially the medium part, because I don't ever really say that I'm a medium. And as soon as I'm in a session and somebody says, "Oh, I want to speak with someone who passed," and I say I'm not a medium, I'll start getting messages. So it's really an odd thing, because whenever I say no, it's not what I do, then things start happening. But it's not, and we'll get to that later, why I feel like I, don't want to do that for clients. But um, I had experiences growing up. Uh, I remember my neighbor died, and I saw him, like floating above my bed one night and telling me to share with his wife that he was okay and that he would make
Wow.
sure she was okay. And I was just like, whoa, what's that? Kind of thing.
How
Um,
old were you when that happened? Do you remember?
I was about 18, I think, when that
Hmm.
happened. So I was a little older. I'd always been interested in tarot, but I never would do readings for other people. I'm the kind of the behind the scenes guy. I'm the producer. I've always felt really safe in that role.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot to get me to start doing readings for people and sharing my, insights and messages I was receiving for others. It wasn't something I wanted to do at all. And it required a lot of moving past fear and doubt and surrendering that so I could just step into service.
You would kind of, if we can go into it, you said that when you read with clients, that would be like spirit talking, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the differentiations between, like, so much about how I receive the messages. I
Yeah.
just receive messages, and luckily they resonate with my clients. And
Yeah.
as long as that works, that's good for me. I'm not like, oh, then, so and so guide is stepping in to tell me this for you. or your guide so and so is telling me this. I'm just sharing whatever it is that I'm supposed to with my clients. Sometimes it's a story from my life that just pops into my head, and I'm like, I'm supposed to share this. And I would say, I always start with,
Interesting.
sorry for rambling on about this, but um, I'm supposed to tell you this story, and hopefully at the end of it, we can figure out why. And I would say 95% of the time we do. So that's good.
That's really
But
cool.
so I mean, Charles mentioned that too. He's like, when you're doing a mediumship reading, sometimes, and Chip, I know, Chip Coffey, who's one of my dear friends and a mentor, also says sometimes he'll just get an experience from his life that he has to share. Like my aunt used to have, I used to go to her house and it was a really, loud family and they gathered and they were food and everything. And so I'm picking that up and that's what I feel like your family was like, and they're like, yes, that's why. So
Yeah.
he doesn't know their family. So for him, it's more about the story that he can share to get that message through, or a song will come into my head and I'll be able to share that. So how do I get those messages? I'm not entirely sure, but does it
Yeah.
matter as long as it
No.
resonates?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a brilliant point that you make that I've never connected to myself. And I think this was kind of how my abilities, for lack of a better term, started
Hmm.
manifesting in my work
Hmm.
was doing someone's makeup or working in their close proximity. And then all of a sudden I feel prompted to share a story, like a life experience
Hmm.
or something. And then they just open up and start singing like a canary, and you walk away from that and you're like, okay, that totally had more to do with them than it
Hmm.
did with me. And
Yeah.
that's where you get that higher purpose and you get that sense of message giving. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful exchange. That's really
Yeah.
cool that that's how your gift, comes through.
Yeah. You're just supposed to share something, and you know, we're the conduits. It's not about us,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what it has to be. Is knowing that we're here to share whatever message comes through, however it comes through. And for me, if that's, a mediumship thing, or if it's me sharing message about an archangel and how to work with them, or talking about what an archangel, what they're here to help us with, so then that person can feel empowered and supported to be able to navigate whatever it is they're going through, then that's kind of how I see my job. So,
Yeah, and you actually, when I was peeking on your page, guidance from gratitude, you have a lot of angel connections. Like, and of course, I know we met in like an angelic workshop,
yeah.
but how did you discover your messages and that you were being like working with angels? Did you have
Well,
to like force that or open
no,
that door, or was it always happening?
I feel like, I'm a Virgo, so my mind, when I start to learn about something, I kind of go down the rabbit hole, which is why I'll
Yeah.
probably never do astrology because I just would never come out of it. I'd be lost for years. Um, but I started studying with Kyle Gray and Radleigh Valentine, and both of them are big angel guys. And so I started learning about the archangels, and it just really resonated with me. Having those kind of archetypes of air of knowing that Raphael's here to help with healing, or you know. And relationships, and Jophiel is here to help us raise our vibrational energies, and bring in joy and the beauty, like embracing the beauty that's around us in every moment. So just
Yeah.
having those kind of things to be able to help me get through my day, just it resonated with me. So I just started learning more about it and doing the attunements and meditations and connecting with them. And it just felt right for me. So one of the
Yeah.
things I really love is, I've done it several times and now I have it recorded. My friend Nicole Schoen and I have recorded an Archangel 101 or Meet the Archangels workshop that's up on my website that people can go and do. And I think it's like a 2.5 hour workshop, and we go through, I think, 15 archangels. So it's a pretty intensive thing, but
Yeah.
we have a little cheat sheet, that gives some bullet points about the archangels. But I feel like it's a way for people to start their exploration of working with the archangels. And I joke that the archangels are the gateway drug to spirituality in some ways because God, that concept of God is too big for people and they don't feel worthy of having that direct connection to God, which ultimately they will by working with the archangels and going on their own journey. Hopefully they'll get there where they know that they're worthy, that they are God, that they have God within them, they're love and they're made of God. And but that takes a while for people to get through their own shit about the concept of love and
Oh yeah.
who and what God is and that he's here to
Yeah.
judge us and all of the things that we've been taught. We have to unlearn all of those things and just step right into that place of love with, and
Yeah. And I
so
would like to be a testimonial to that. You gave me a sneak peek of that workshop and I thought it was so fabulous. So if
oh,
anybody
thank
is
you.
considering doing this, please check out RobbiKearns.com. That's your website, correct? And I'll put all the
Yeah,
links in the box
yeah.
and but if you're interested in learning more about archangels, it's like 2 hours. It's interesting how in depth you go, but it felt so fast, but then it felt like enough, like it
Yeah.
felt complete and whole. So that was definitely recommend you guys check it out. I can also say that you kind of cracked me up with the archangels kind of being like the gateway drug. I felt like Reiki was my gateway drug into spiritualism
Yeah.
and by proxy to the archangels
Mm,
because I started having weird experiences when I was doing Reiki, as I shared with you before, where I was getting names in my
hmm.
sessions and I thought they were spirits and I thought I was picking up on deceased relatives or whatever of the people I was working with, and come to find out they were archangels finding their way into my space. And
Yeah.
then I went down the rabbit hole of what is an angel, what's an
Yeah.
archangel,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's ultimately where I found you in class.
Yes, exactly. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you had that experience. And there's I just feel like when you kind of step into your path, you're led exactly where you need to go. So for you, you were led
Absolutely.
to Reiki, and then from that you started experiencing because you were able to step out of your mind, you were just experiencing whatever it was you were in that moment, and you figured out that, hey, I have Archangel Michael coming in to help me with the session,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And I just love that, how that works, because
Is is that a common story that you get with the people that you connect with who are also tapping into angel frequencies?
I, I would say more focused on this is where I am, and you're led where you're supposed to go. Like some people might feel an energy, but might not know that it's an archangel or know, why they're coming through. And then in a session, we can talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, I felt that before," because they didn't know about archangels or something. So then I'll say, okay, well, here you need to go. Obviously, you need to go and work with Archangel Haniel because she's associated with your developing your intuition and trusting your emotions and the moon cycle. So you might want to, read about the moon cycles and working with the moon as you move forward and stuff like that. So, but really, it's for me, I feel like I've just been led through all these things, even outside of my spiritual journey. I wouldn't be able to do my business, run my business and operate it if I didn't have all of the background that I had in my, I guess, business life, where I was a project manager and, at different ad agencies and PR firms and also tech firms. So, like
Wow.
I wouldn't know how to do the video stuff or, managing my social media accounts and creating images and all of that that goes into having a business nowadays.
Yeah.
So, and we've been talking about setting up my website and the payment stuff, but yeah, it's running a group, figuring out how to do courses, all of those things. Your path might seem like this, but
Yeah.
ultimately, if you can not be frustrated by that and embrace what you learned from the past and bring it into the present, I find it's really valuable. So it's the same thing with the skills that we use. Like I might not
Yeah.
offer mediumship to clients. I might not ever hang that shingle and say, "Hey, I'm doing mediumship readings for people," but that class with Charles was very valuable for many reasons. One, we met, and I'm excited about our friendship, but also just little things like what we had talked about. Um, where I started in sessions feeling things. I would all of a sudden, like before a session, start getting pain in my shoulder, and I'm like, I don't have pain in my
Yeah.
shoulder. I'm like, why am I? And oh, and I'd ask my client right away when we got on. I was like, are you having pain in your right shoulder? And they would say yes, and or in your knee or something. And I said, okay, well, I'm supposed to run energy to help alleviate that pain and just recognize it. So when we're doing this meditation, we're going to specially focus, put special focus on that area. And
Yeah.
so, but I never attributed that to mediumship until the
And
class.
yeah, that was,
Yeah.
my next question was, Charles had a very interesting take that all humans are mediums to some extent.
Hmm.
Uh, which was interesting because as I was taught and trained, all people are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums.
Hmm.
And I really like his approach, though, is he was basically saying that as human beings, spirit has always been around us. It's always been a part of who we are and who our civilizations were before technology.
Hmm.
And we all have the innate skill or ability to tap into spirit for
Hmm.
messages and guidance and ancestors. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought that kind of freed up my mind a little bit for where
Hmm.
I had hesitation before, because even in my classes that I'm currently doing now, I've hit a hump in my studies where I'm realizing that a lot of my readings I've been doing, or the muscle that's been flexing, is my psychic skill.
Hmm.
And I didn't necessarily think it was my getting messages from spirit, more as I was seeing and getting messages.
Hmm.
And now I'm being pushed to have conversations with spirit to pull, like, oh, your grandmother's coming in. Well, what message does she have to say? Like,
Hmm.
kind of what you were talking about with that. And it's totally out of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
That's not where I feel like my strength is. And it's a little scary, but I feel the urge to push myself to do it,
Hmm.
because otherwise, why would it be happening to me?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I like your take on that as well.
Yeah, and I feel like we get so in our head about the labels, which is one of the reasons
Oh
why I
yeah,
stay away from them, because it puts so much pressure on you,
it really
and
does.
and it's unnecessary. We're here to help people, so why are we? And this is in everyday life. Why do we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves? And like it's not needed. So if I
Yeah.
receive a message that's from someone's what loved one that's passed away, and I'll share it. So we put so much pressure on ourselves about like, mediumship, and I'm not receiving messages, and why am I not connecting with my guides? And that only keeps us from connecting even further because we're putting
Yeah.
unnecessary energy towards that, doubting that we can do it. But I
Yeah.
had a conversation with Chip Coffey, who is a pretty well-known psychic medium, and he's a dear friend of mine. And he said, Robbi, do you receive messages from people who aren't right next to you? Like, do you? And I said, yeah. He said, well, then you're doing mediumship. Like, if you're getting
Interesting.
messages, you know, from your guides and angels, that's mediumship.
Yeah.
And that helped a bit. But then Charles's class really kind of reassured me. And the main reason I wanted to do that is because I had crazy intense experience with a guide, and I wanted to be able to connect closer with that guide. And that's just not how it works for me most of the time. It's like,
Yeah.
a guide shows up and it's like, I'm here to help you with this. I'm like, great. And then I don't really, they're not in the forefront. They,
Yeah.
I know they're back supporting me, but it's just like, I'm just doing the work.
Do you feel like do you feel like the angels are more of your guides, so to speak, or are they? Can you explain the difference between like guides and angels? Is there a
My,
difference?
well, my belief, yes, my belief is that we have spirit partners that kind of come to help us to do our work and to help us through our
Yeah.
daily lives. But we have to surrender and allow them to be a part of our lives, that pesky thing called free will that we all have as humans. And
Yeah.
really, So every morning I start with thank you for being with me and thank you for sharing with me what I need to know for my highest good. And that's something that I kind of heard from Kyle Gray and adapted it a little bit. But just welcoming in your guides. And I do a deeper meditation in the morning and open up through gratitude because, gratitude, it raises your vibrational energy so you can connect with that higher vibrational, like the angels and your spirit partners that are in spirit. So spirit partners for me are anything on the other side that come through love that are here to help you on your journey. So it could be your guardian angel, which I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that our soul, when we were first incarnated, we have a guardian angel that was assigned to us to go through all of our lifetimes, and they powwow with us through our lifetime as well as in between lifetimes about what we need to accomplish, how best to do that, and they know us more intimately than anyone. Then
Yeah.
we have spirit guides who come in and out as we need them. And spirit guides, in my belief, are humans that are in spirit at the moment, and they come through to help us with whatever it is we need. So I have a spirit guide that when I finally stepped into, decided I was going to stop being scared out of my mind and start doing readings, which was something I never ever wanted to do. I heard in my head, I'm Clarissa and I'm here to help you with your readings. Now, Clarissa had come to me 20 something years before and told me to remember her name, but I didn't know why and I didn't know what that was about because I wasn't doing spiritual work back then and had
Yeah.
no idea why I had the name Clarissa and was told to write it down. But 20 something years later, she came through and told me, I'm here to help you with reading. So Clarissa must have been someone who did readings when she was incarnated in the human body, and she was coming through to help me now. So that's
Wow.
what I feel like spirit partners are. They come in and out of our lives as we need them. We can call on them for support, and they'll be there, but they're not with us all the time like our guardian angel is. Then we have the angels and archangels who have never lived a human existence, except there's a few that God, like Metatron and Sandalphon, supposedly lived a human life, and then when they passed away, God made them archangels. Um, so, but they've never lived a human life. They're much higher vibrational energy, and so sometimes you have to tell them to like back off. Like they don't understand that what they're asking us to do can be too much, you know. So
Yeah.
that energetically that we can't keep up with them sometimes. So, but
Interesting.
yeah. So, because they're omnipresent, they can do everything for everybody at all times, and they have infinite amount of energy to do it. So sometimes we're
Yeah.
like, I know people have like can burn out because they're just going, 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 going. I have to do this work. And like, but you also have to take care of your physical body. We're human. We have to,
Yeah.
that's part of the deal. Um, so, um, that's my belief on our spirit partners and the different, and then there's ascended masters who, again, were human that now are in spirit that have that, like Buddha and Jesus is some people say is an ascended master, even though he's the son of God. Um, you
Yeah, that
know,
seems to be like a hot topic debate.
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like if you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube or
yeah,
podcasting, there's like a group of people. You fall in one of two categories. You're either somebody who believes Jesus was an ascended master, or you believe that he wasn't.
yes,
And I think the ascended master, and you can maybe help me put more detail into this. Ascended masters are humans that basically reached a level of enlightenment in a
hmm,
human form into transition and they
yes,
ascended, right?
yes,
But because they ascended, they can never come back to this dense kind of vibration. And I think that's where the misconception of like if he is or if he didn't, because then he wouldn't have been able to come back 3 days later or something, right?
Well,
Is that?
yeah, I mean, it could have just been a spirit still hanging around that they saw. Who knows, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just like my
I do
neighbor
think that's
floating
fascinating.
floating above my bed, the day after
Yeah.
he passed away, the day of his funeral. So, who knows?
Yeah.
But I,
If you could find an ascended master expert, please send them my way.
okay, I will.
I'd like to find out more about that.
Yeah, but I love we've talked about Kyle's decks, and he has some Ascended Masters in his decks, and so I've learned a little bit about it, but it's not my main thing. But
Yeah.
there are some like Saint Germain I've worked with, and but Saint Germain is also very much like Archangel Zadkiel, so it's all working with the violet flame meditation to release things that you no longer need to hold on to and transmute that energy. So.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
there a connection between the archangels and the saints? Like the patron saints of, because sometimes people do,
Yeah,
is it Saint Anthony for lost things
yeah,
and
and
Saint Judas for,
Shamuel's the archangel for lost things. So, you know, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I just think they're all archetypes, you
okay,
know. So
that's
like
fair.
they have their kind of they can help us with any of them can help us with anything. If you don't know who Archangel Zadkiel is, and that's the beautiful thing is archangels and angels don't have egos. So you just if they don't care what you call them as long as you call them. I like to say. So
Yeah.
if you need something, call on the angels to come in and help. But yeah, Anthony and Shamuel are both like help you find lost items. Michael's a saint and an archangel. So, I guess it depends on if you adhere to Catholicism or not and what your belief
Yeah.
system is. I just feel like,
When I,
go ahead.
well, I just also kind of want to use that moment to point out that for anybody who is thinking about reaching out to angel energy, they will come to you in a form you can accept, right?
Hmm.
So, like, it could be a sound, it could be a feeling. They're not necessarily dressed in robes with wings, right?
No, no, it's I feel like if you are really open and asking for guidance and surrendering, whatever it is you're going through and open to receive. That's the thing is we
Yeah.
put so many barriers up that we can't receive messages, grief, fear, doubt, all of those things. But if you can stop and find that place of peace and stillness and allow yourself to receive the messages, they'll get them through. And you can ask them, make sure that you're doing this in a way that I can receive it. Because again, they're angels. They might not know that we can't receive it in the way they're delivering it. So
Yeah. They weren't
really,
human.
yeah, really say, I need, how it's gonna resonate with me. So please deliver it in a way that I can receive this. And then we're busy down here getting, doing our lives, taking care of kids, running errands, going to the grocery store. And so you have to pay attention. You have to really, I find like I tell clients sometimes at the beginning when they're trying to start figuring out their connection to spirit and their spirit partners and living that connected life, I'll tell them to set alarms every couple of hours just to take a minute or two break to reconnect. Because
Yeah.
otherwise you get swept away and it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night and and you're like, well, why didn't I receive any messages? It's like, well, what did you do to stop your everyday churn and burn to receive a message? Were
Yeah.
you open to receive it? Because, you know, one of my cards is there's magic around every corner, but you have to be willing and able to see that. You have
Yeah.
to have
And
capacity to see that.
you do. And you have an amazing deck that I don't think we talked about. And we can talk about it in a
Oh,
little bit. I still want to
okay.
kind of go into, a little bit further because you brought something up that made me think of something that I see synonymous with people talking about angels, but I think it's kind of like the whole angel number thing,
Hmm.
1111, 222, 333, like all of the duplicates of numbers. Can you explain that? Where did that come from?
I I have no idea where it came from, and it's funny because I every once in a while I would see those numbers, and the last couple of weeks I've been seeing them non-stop. And I don't go in and be like, okay, it's 444. What does that mean right now?
Yeah. Or it's
Like,
1111.
but
Let's
there's
make a
books. Like
wish.
Kyle Gray has a book called Angel Numbers, and it like has every number from one to, you know, up into the hundreds where he's written it out. And
Wow.
it's pretty intense. And I bought it, and and then I gave it to a friend who mentioned angel numbers to me one day. I was like, oh, you can have this book. Because for me, it was more about like if I see a 222 or something, that just is a reminder that, the angels are around for
Yeah.
me. Like, okay, great. Or like I said, that's the little alarm reminder. Okay, stop and
Yeah.
reconnect. So if I can see that, or I'll see a number as I walk by, the microwave, and it just makes me laugh that I'll see that when I wasn't even looking at the clock or
I
something.
really need to
So
be more because I felt so like it's kind of one of those things where everybody else in class is getting a present except for you. I feel like I never see angel numbers unless I'm looking for them,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know? And I'm just like, oh, I just want to like look up and see the gas price one day as like an angel number or, like give me 444 because I can't remember the last time I saw gas under $5 here.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I need to maybe I need to be more open to that, being a language for me to understand, because for me it's
Yeah.
kind of like a knowing and a feeling,
Hmm.
you know a sense, or I really have to calm and still myself to connect that energy into whatever I'm doing. But
Hmm.
I will say, and this is a testament to Charles as well in his workshop, when I learned how to incorporate archangels into my space when I was conducting readings and sittings and whatnot, my accuracy went up, my
Hmm.
ability went up,
Hmm.
like everything seemed to open a little bit more, and the quality of the message seemed to be a little bit more. Um, I don't know what it just increased. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a placebo thing. I don't know what it is, but there's something to it. There's something
Yeah.
to that angel
I love that.
frequency.
Well, you mentioned
Yeah.
something that has been kind of my main goal this year of guiding people through is that place of peace. And that place of peace and stillness is so, like, that's the only way to be connected to spirit and to connect with yourself. You have to cut through the chatter. You have to find ways to do that. And that is just something that this whole year has been my goal to help people try to do that for themselves, because they shouldn't have
Yeah.
to come to me to do that, you know.
I feel the same way.
Um,
As I've been trying to, I haven't officially come out of the psychic closet yet. All of the services that I've been offering are more for close friends and family members or
mhm.
people that I know that have been working on this part of my life for the last few years. And I haven't opened up the books, so to speak, but it will be happening soon.
Yes.
And it's, I'm telling you, it's one of those things where you just kind of, you're like, you're scared, you're up against the cliff. And then you just got to go for it, like a trust fall.
Oh yeah.
you
Well,
know?
I mean, I don't know if I shared this with you, but when I did a weekend mastermind online with Radleigh Valentine,
Hmm.
and it was incredible. And he's all about the angels. He asked why we were there, and I said, well, I want to produce events for people, because this is when I was still like, no way in hell I'm doing readings for people, even though I'd been certified by Kyle Gray for, as an angel reader, and Denise Lynn as a soul coach, and blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not going to do that work. I'm doing that for me, for my
Yeah.
growth. Like, no way am I going to step up and lead groups. And so
Well, and what?
but I told Bradley that. I was like, there's not interested. And he just laughed. And I was like, what a jerk. Like, like, he was very kind about it. He's like, he just was like laughing. He's like, you'll see. And by the end of the
Yeah.
weekend, I knew that I had to push past that fear and just be vulnerable and surrender
Mm-hmm.
that and step into the work. And that's where you are right now. It's that the fool, the dreamer card, stepping off of the cliff and knowing they're going to be supported because,
Yeah.
just the little I know of the work you do and the things I saw you sharing in the workshop, watching back, it was 100% accurate,
Thank you.
but we have to trust ourselves and get out of our heads and
Yeah, you mentioned the Fool, and the last time I pulled cards for myself a couple of months ago when I was kind of thinking more in depth about this, I got the Fool, the Hermit, and the Magician.
ah,
And at the time I was a
and
little
those are
nervous, you know,
that's
but now it
interesting
makes
because that's
sense.
Metatron and Archangel Raziel's. Metatron's associated with the Fool. The Magician and Hermit card are associated with Raziel. And Raziel helps us create whatever it is. He helps us to, how do I say this? To bring all of the esoteric into reality. And Metatron helps us to move forward with faith that we're being taken exactly where we need to go, even if we don't know where that is. So,
Yeah.
what powerful cards for you to pull
Oh,
around
they,
starting your business.
yeah, and it was a little scary, mostly the Hermit, because at the time I had an immense amount of fear
Mhm.
of judgment and what people will think, and it was causing depression inside of me. So when I saw that Hermit card, I was like, oh my god, like shit's about to get rough, but I'm on the
What?
other end of it. and
Yeah.
and to what you were just saying too, I've been trying to figure out, because I love teaching,
Mhm.
like I love intuitively teaching people how to tap into their own senses, because like you said,
Mhm.
I don't want to do readings and have somebody come to me every time they need to make a decision.
Yeah.
I want
No.
to do a reading like once a year,
Yeah.
maybe, or like I don't want to see you every 3 weeks. And
No.
so
Well,
I've been
that.
trying to figure out how to structure my business in order to incorporate education so that people can learn how to trust their own intuition.
Yeah, and
And
that's what
is
it's
that kind
about.
of what you're doing, or do you, like, how
Yeah,
do
I
you
don't.
operate?
I have some coaching clients that are, mainly people who are stepping into their own abilities. So I'm supporting them through that process.
So that's
Or
what your coaching is.
some, yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of led in that direction. Some people were just starting their journey and just wanted to have a once a month, touch base. But as part of my coaching is program, you also are in the study group. So, and that's a community of people who really didn't know where to go to talk about this stuff. And I didn't know where to go to talk about this stuff. So I created a community to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I read somewhere you only need to be one or two steps ahead of your of your students, and sometimes I feel that way. I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but here I am, and and luckily, what I share, what I receive what I'm supposed to share that month, and luckily it resonates with the group and people.
Yeah.
I've had the same core group of people for a long time, and they're lovely, and we meet a couple of times a month, and part of that is I do a development circle. So I was doing readings for everybody at first, and I was like, no, we have so many people who are developing their abilities. I want you to bring your cards and share as well. So we're
Yeah.
doing that now. So, but really, it's about stepping into your own strength and your own abilities and figuring out what that was. I mean, I've had people who were so afraid of anything that they could not feel their energy when they would rub their hands together. They were
Wow.
so closed up. And then they went on to studying energy work and different energy modalities. And, now they're sharing cards in the group and the transformation and change that they've gone through is amazing. And I love seeing that. I love being, and that person was in my coaching for about 4 or 5 months, and then she didn't need it anymore, but she's still part of the study group. So I don't want
Yeah.
people, I don't want to do readings all the time. Chip has a rule that he will only read for the same person that's passed away twice. So he'll only contact a spirit that's passed away twice. And then after that, because he's like, I'm not a crutch. I don't want to be a crutch. And they're dead for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. That's
Um,
really, and you and I are similar in that way that I was trying to find some way to have a conversation regarding this stuff or like to put something out there for people to use as a resource while they're discovering and awakening.
mhm.
And that's how the podcast came to be.
Yeah.
So is your group like is it a Patreon group or how can people find that
It's on the
if they want to be a
website. It's
part of
just
it?
it's called well, there's the spiritual study group, and that meets twice a month. We have a focus of the month, and then we get together, see what people learned from it, what they experienced through the month, because this isn't about just learning. It's about going through the experience and growing and allowing yourself to experience things, being open to that. And then we also do like I mentioned, the reading, the group gallery reading development circle once a month. So we meet 3 times a month. As part of that, you get my message of the day where I pull cards every day and share that with the group. You can also just join that individually, and you choose your level of support. It's like, I think it's between 10 and $30 a month for that. And then I have the coaching program, which includes all of that. So really, I
That's
kind
really
of
cool.
tailored it. So if people just need the message, they want to receive the messages every day, they can. And then that I'll talk about the archangels, and so people are hopefully learning as from just the message of the day. But if they want to be a part of a group and take another step on their spiritual journey, they can be part of the group. And then if they feel like they want one-on-one coaching, they can. It's been interesting how several people have stepped into practice. Like one of my clients had always received messages from people that, mediumship messages, but didn't know what to do with it. And now she's doing
Yeah.
readings. And that
Wow.
doesn't have anything to do with me. It's just I was able to help her see what was going on, and then she was able to step into it.
Yeah.
So, it's really amazing to see these people just really, um, just developing their skills and doing what they, feel called to do. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
what a beautiful gift and opportunity that you get to lead people to that.
yeah.
That's got to be really fulfilling for you.
Support. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to
Yeah.
support people on their journey. It
That's
is
cool.
really cool. It's
Well, I want
very.
to support you in any way I possibly can.
Oh, well,
So I
thank you.
definitely want to tell everybody that you have this wonderful deck. It's a guidance from gratitude deck. And it is like the messages on your deck are really just, I don't want to put it in a box by saying that it's a great beginner deck,
No,
but
it
it's
it,
so
it
simple and
is.
the messages are just truth.
Yeah. The reason I created it, this is the deck, is Be Your Own Oracle. And
Yeah.
the reason well, first I was told to create it by a guy named Emmanuel that I mentioned earlier. Um, but the messages are supposed to be very crystal clear, so your mind and ego cannot get in the way and start manipulating them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's literally like,
Yeah.
have faith in
And
your
you can
journey.
And you can take something like that and just close your eyes
Yeah,
and feel or see what it means for you.
yeah,
And it's such a, like you were talking about earlier with connecting, it's the perfect way throughout the day to just look at the deck, reach down, it's
yeah,
on my office table and
yeah.
pull it out.
And
And
yeah, I say it's kind of, you can, because they're small, the size of a playing card, playing cards, and I send it in a little pouch, and it's on the go guidance. So wherever you are, you can always reach into your bag and pull it out and pull a card. But
yeah,
again, because especially people starting out tend to question everything. I didn't want any artwork on it. I didn't want, like, there's a card, Blessings in Abundance, in a deck that I have, and I pulled it for somebody, and they were like, that artwork horrifies me. It's like terrifying. It looks like there's blood coming from this. I was like, what? Like, they were able to turn Blessings in Abundance into something frightening for them, but that's because they can't receive those blessings in abundance right now. They're not in a
yeah,
place to receive, but that's where their mind went. So I didn't want any images, so they couldn't turn it around. So that's why it's very
yeah,
clear, and be still and listen. Again,
yeah,
like I said, it's it. I did create it intentionally to be very simple, so our mind and can't let that fear and
Muck
doubt
it up.
trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Just
that's what we
clear
do.
the
So
clutter, see the
yeah,
message, and then see what it means to you. That's really
exactly.
cool. Well,
So
Robbie, you have been such a delight, and I'm so grateful that you were able to be part of our show today. And if anybody
thank
is
you.
looking to join your coaching or your study group, please go do it. If you want to find those lovely deck of cards, you can find it on the website link that I'll put in the description box. Robbie, before I wrap us up, is there anything else?
No, I just want to thank you for having me today, and I'm excited to see where your journey leads you. And I know that you have a lot to give and share, and I'm excited to see that. So
Thank
and
you.
and
Likewise.
you're doing a really beautiful thing by bringing people together through your podcast and exposing. Anybody can go to heyhouse.com and
Yeah,
find somebody to take a class from. But you're giving people the opportunity to get their skills out and share their messages. And I just want to thank you for that.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. You are so
mm.
welcome, and you are such a talent. Thank you so much again, Robbie. To find out more about today's guest, please check out the description box. You can find Robbi Kearns' website, book him for sessions, or check out his study group. I highly suggest purchasing his Oracle deck, which I have found extremely helpful. Until next time, Woo family.